I have been a fan of video games since 1996, when my dad brought home a little grey box. Well, to some, it was only a little grey box, but to me, it was the source of my happiest childhood memories. That little grey box was the Super Nintendo game console. I remember coming home from school. My sister was there to play Super Mario with me, and occasionally we would give our dad a chance to try out if he could make Mario jump over the tiniest of teeny obstacles. And when he couldn't, we just stole the controller from him in frustration and showed how the game should be played. Throughout my childhood, teenage, and university years, games followed me wherever I went. But then, for some reason, I stopped playing for a while when I entered working life. A lot of other things happened at that time too, and some years and rough experiences later, I found myself in the need of reconnecting with the things I love to do. And that was the moment when I realized that games, life, and especially working life share some pretty unbelievable similarities. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share with you 3 lessons that games taught me about work. Lesson number 1: dissect big things into smaller pieces. Raise your hands if you know Super Mario, the game I just mentioned. Cool. Well, to summarize, Super Mario is a platform jumping game where you are controlling this Italian plumber, Mario, who is trying to save a beautiful princess from an evil, jealous monster called Bowser. The usual relationship stuff, I know. The creators of Super Mario didn't hold back on content. Even the earliest games had almost 70 different levels, which meant you'd have to play for hours and hours to complete the game. But here's the magical bit: you didn't need to do it on one go. Those levels were often dispersed in 2 or 3 stages, which meant you could set out to play 1, 2, or 3 levels, stop the game, and continue where you left. That's also what you should do at work. I mean, how often do we find ourselves in a situation where we have this huge project that we need to work on, but we can't even start because we're already stressed by the sheer thought of how much work it requires? Well, the Super Mario way is the key. It makes a daunting and big task easier to approach and, most importantly, fun to complete when you always know where you're moving and how many steps are still ahead. Lesson number 2: do what you do best. In 1991, Canadian programmer Sid Meier released a game called Civilization. Civilization is a turn-based strategy video game where you have a simple goal. You need to choose a civilization you want to play with, say the Americans, Aztecs, or my favorite, the very French. Then you're given a settler, which is placed on a randomly generated map, and you have to start to create the story of your empire. Easy task, right? Well, now the cool bit over here is that there are several different ways to win the game. You can be the conqueror who destroys all the other civilizations, or the techie who creates the first interplanetary spaceship, or the peace broker who sets up the United Nations. The key there is to know where you excel, and shouldn't that also be your goal at work? To find out where you are the best of the lot, because that gives you fulfillment, motivation, and energy when you know what to do, when to do, and how to do it. Focus on your strengths, because otherwise, just like in Civilization, when the aggressive players try to become peace brokers and the peace brokers warlords, there's only one word that describes what's going to happen: nuh-uh. And finally, lesson number 3: journey over goal. No matter what adventure game you choose from the market, they all have the same premise. In the beginning, you create an avatar of yourself. You will be set out to achieve some noble and faraway goal, but to get there, you have to gain experience by searching the world, completing side missions until finally you fulfill the quest you set out to complete. Sounds remarkably similar to a thing I like to call life. Many of our dreams are always concentrated on the ending, but we often miss out on the best bits, the things and people we meet along the way. In these adventure games, when you get till the end, you feel a sense of fulfillment. But then you start to move on and you always come back to the memories that took you there. And that's the true essence, the meat around the bones in games, but also, I would argue, in working life and life in general. So, with these lessons in mind, let me just ask, how are you going to play your own video game? Thank you.